professionally
no,
filmed.
yeah.
I was kind of disappointed in terms of Dave, because Dave had hyped it up and been like, I've got 3 guitarists.
Right.
And this is not going to sound like Van Halen.
Right.
Because I really respect the way the albums sound. And I'm sitting here going, all right, well, they don't sound like Van Halen, but they don't necessarily sound like the album either.
No.
And I'm kind of like, for 3 guitarists, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Ed played by himself and was able to do that and better.
Well, he's also Eddie Van Halen. I mean,
Well, I understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
But if these guys have really been practicing for something like 8 months, like I think David said at one point, I'm kind of like, man, I wasn't overly impressed. It's not that they stunk or anything
No. They just weren't ready. They weren't ready. They weren't. I don't know why he did that show. Maybe because it was a timing thing. He had to do it. But
I think he had to.
Yeah.
I think he had to.
But I tell you, there were some clips up there, and it was just like, this is what the show's going to be.
Well, we'll see what happens when we go to Vegas and actually see the show.
I know. Well, speaking of shows, Sammy's High Tide Beach Party was canceled. And boy, what a mess this was. So the event was scheduled to be held September 28th and 29th in Huntington Beach, California, featuring The Circle, Richie Sambora, Extreme Night Ranger, Blue Oyster Cult, Vince Neil, Steel Panther, The Outfield, Scandal, and a few other bands. But the culprit was that the permit was denied by the California State Parks. Now, this is where it starts getting weird. So they started saying, all kinds of stuff. When some of the press started doing digging, they realized the promoter, which was Freeze Management, failed to pay all the fees for the festival, including those related to public safety. And Sam went out there. I didn't like the way Sam handled this. I got to be honest with you. Piss poor. I mean, it's Sammy Hagar's High Tide Beach Party. He goes, I don't know exactly what happened. The promoters and the city both put out press releases saying what happened. And I guess that's what happened. All I can say is I'm sorry, and I'm more disappointed than anyone. And I think all the fans know how much I care about them and how much I care about my parties and my music and everything I do. But I'm going to try to make this up. But it was like, how is this? How could you let it get to this level? I don't understand not paying fees, but this is what it reeks to me, and Eddie Trunk said this. Poor ticket sales. The way this works when you have these things is they pay these bands money up front because the bands book the date in advance, so they block it out, and no one got their money, including Eddie Trunk, who was apparently going to host or whatever, and he's been following this whole thing because he was one of the people who got cheated out of money. No one got any money. So Freeze Management is apparently the one who's behind this whole thing. I don't know. It really is a mess. But, Sammy's is at fault as well, in my opinion, because he played dumb on this one. And that's not cool considering it's his event. And he pulled I'm just the artist routine. And I think that Trunk was defending Sam. But I'm sorry. I don't give him a pass on this one. What do you think?
No, we all know he's smarter than that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got a lot of business sense.
Yeah, exactly. I don't quite understand what the hell happened here. But I tell you what, Stan doesn't stop talking, though. Oh, boy. Did he stick his foot in his mouth this time. So anyway, in a recent article with OC Weekly, Sam went on to say that he wants one more show with Van Halen. Oh, my God. This guy is like talking about a girl that he dated back in the 80s and he wants to have one more date with her. It's just ridiculous. It sounds so desperate and thirsty. He's making himself look ridiculous. So this is what he says. He says, if there's ever going to be one reunion, you've got one more shot, one more. You're going to put the guys together, it would be Van Halen. Not for a tour, not to make a record, not to go on and on and on, because I don't think we're there. I don't think I can be in the same headspace as those guys personally. So I don't think we could create together. But just one time, Van Halen would be my number one, hands down. If I said I've only got one more show left in my life, who would I want it with? Eddie, Alex, and Michael. The good times and the stuff we made in that band was the peak of my life and my musical career. Now this is where it gets so fucking crazy. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This is so sad. I can't believe I'm even going to read this. He says, I don't take any inventory. I don't look back ever. I'm just always looking forward, looking up, looking at the ground and looking straight ahead. And I very seldom look over my shoulder. But even if I did, I think about those times. I have more sympathy for what Eddie must have been going through personally then, because I never found out because he didn't communicate very well with me. Looking back, I feel sorry for what he must have been going through, something really bad. But he wasn't sharing it with me. And I wish him well, and I hope they're okay. One last show. Sammy, you got one more to do. Boom. And this is where it gets I can't believe I'm going to read this. If those guys wouldn't do it, I'd go park in their driveway and make them. I'd say, I ain't leaving here. Al's going to come over eventually, and I'll get him when he pulls up, and I'll hog tie his ass. And me and Mikey will sit in the car out in the driveway until they fold. Oh, my God.
So I never look back except when I'm looking back.
Exactly. He's contradicting himself in the same paragraph. Oh, my God. He is sad. Beyond obsessed at this point. The brothers, they should definitely start getting a restraining order at this point if he was smart. Honest to God. And this is where it even gets crazy. So listen to this. Then he starts saying that the criticism of the Van Hagar years, right? How they weren't rocking enough. They were too ballady. I have no problem with people saying that early Van Halen stuff was more rock. It was raw rock. They were young kids, for Christ's sake. First bands, first albums, I compare Montrose to that. They were like Montrose. When I joined Van Halen, I was 45 years old. I'm a grown man. I got kids. I got a wife. I was wealthy already. I had success. When he joined Van Halen, okay, he was 38 years old. We all know he's not good with numbers, but holy shit, he's off by 7 years. I mean, my God.
It's like how old he was when he was like 3/4 of the way through.
Right. He was 45 in the summer of 1993 when they were doing the Right Here, Right Now tour for the live album. I mean, Jesus, Sam, what the hell? And now he says here, listen, you're going to love this. He says, when I joined the band, Eddie was kind of done writing that way. He's talking about in a rock way. He had just run out of his licks, and I'm not putting him down. He's still a genius, but you only have so many songs in you. And then I was just like, what does that mean? Now he's making excuses for Van Halen's softer era by saying that it's all Ed's fault? Jesus. He did the same thing.
Well, Ed did write the music. I think that's
No, I know, but he
did
this in the same, back in the interview I did with him years ago. The guy he's scraping, man. He is scraping. I mean, that whole thing. Can you imagine being Eddie or Alex and reading that? He's going to come to my driveway and I'm not going to leave until he agrees to do a show. Oh, my God. Somebody call the police. Where does Eddie live? In Studio City or whatever the hell he is? Call the police, baby. Janie, get on the horn. Anyway, so moving on here. More Sammy Hagar news. His Space Between movie finally got released. Okay, so we've been talking about this, and I want to give Sam credit here. I watched the whole thing, and I really have to say that the Space Between ages really well, even though it's not that old. I just listened to it again, and I was like, you know what? This is a really damn good album. So I have to say, please, if you don't have it, get it. And go listen to it. There's some really, really good stuff on there. I really enjoyed it. So this movie is made by Zizi Satriani, who is Joe Satriani's son. He did a great job with this. I really think he put together a nice thing. There's a lot of different things here. There's imagery. There's like a pig going down the road with the devil with his dark hat, and then they cut into the studio and some behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's a concept record, obviously, and you can see the concept a bit with this actor who's playing this guy, and Sammy says he had a big streak of inspiration, and he says, that I feel like I have a story here to share, and the devil kind of smashes the Liberty Bell, and this guy's in the desert, and the devil came to Philly, and he says, when you have good musicians, you can get lost in the music, and that's what's happening here. And then they get into Full Circle Jam, and the band's in the studio, he's playing, and this guy who's the lead, he's a goofy bastard, this guy. He's running around, he quits his job, he's throwing his briefcase around, his chump change, is lots of background stuff, goofing around in the studio. He goes to Las Vegas with the devil there, and the guy is gambling his life away there, and he has no money and can't hang. It's on last call. He meets the devil. You never know how evil's going to hit you. A guy loses his money. And he's going back to nature, and he has a profound effect on him. He's going to the mountains, wide open space. He's into that. The guy's with his arms open, soaking in the sun. There's even a clip of I Can't Drive 55 in there. Free Man, these songs are all not all in full, they're in snippets, but the guy, he fights with the devil, and he sees the pig coming down the street with the piggy bank, and then he's got no worries, and he's dancing around with his crazy eyes and wiggling his hands and his arms, and his live clips of Sammy's High Tide Beach Party from last year, the fond memories of when Sam could draw people. So that he's trust fund baby, and the guy's partying with the blonde, and he realizes the mistakes he makes, and then of course at the end there's the affirmation, and the guy sees himself as the devil, and he wakes up listening to the album in the car, and he almost hits a truck, but he lives, and he confronts the devil, and he frees himself. And Sam's there saying that money is a misconception, is the root of all evil. You gotta heal the sick, feed the homeless, and, without greed, everything's beautiful, and la-di-da, and, Sammy's being very Sam. And so, what can I tell you? It's a fun ride. It's very well done. Zizi did a great job. It's very well filmed. It's interspliced nicely. It's very entertaining. It rolls by. If you want to get a taste of what the album is like, just go on YouTube. It's for free. So check it out. Sammy is his big last hurrah. Well, we'll see if it's his last hurrah, but it's obviously a very big effort creatively on his part. There's some great stuff. I really think Trust Fund Baby and Free Man, these songs are rockin'-ass songs. Really, really fun. Chump Change, really great. And Vic plays like a wild man. So there's some great stuff on there. What did you make of this, Dave?
I'm glad he released it, because that's what we were talking about last month. So he finally listened to us, and released it. So I'm glad he did, because I really thought he was just going to let it languish in the vault.
Absolutely.
So it was worth watching. It was interesting. It was well done. It's definitely a concept video with a theme in it, interspliced with Sam playing here and there. Mm-hmm. And I know it's a little more than a half hour long.
Right.
You hit all the high points already. So, it was pretty well done. And it's right on YouTube. So, any Sammy fan should at least get on there and watch it.
It's free, for Christ's sake. What more do you want?
Right. So, get the visual with the audio.
Right.
Sam had put a lot of time and effort into this album. So, it's worth watching.
And Sammy's also releasing a Record Store Day release. He's doing a 12-inch picture disc of Santa's Going South for Christmas with a B-side of Eagles Fly live from 2019. There's only a 2,000 limit on it. It's coming out November 29th. On the cover is Sammy in a Santa hat with sunglasses coming out of the water. So that's another Sammy release coming out.
Isn't that his first Christmas song?
It is. He already released it. That song is available on iTunes. It's a Christmas,
is it? Okay.
Yeah. But this is coming out on a special limited edition picture disc on vinyl. So it's just a Record Store Day thing, but I figured I'd mention it.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Sam, he had his birthday bash for 4 nights. He did October 8th and 9th and 11th and 13th with the Wabos, which is Mona and David Lauser and Vic Johnson. And first time they played together since 2015, I think. And he had some special guests like Jerry Cantrell. And what a set list, though, Dave. I was really impressed by this. He was doing Van Hagar songs like Why Can't This Be Love, Finish What You Started, Top of the World, Best of Both Worlds, which is pretty common. That's fine. But then he did a nice medley of Montrose, which was Rock Candy, Space Station No. 5, Bad Motor Scooter. He did Make It Last. That's kind of fun. But then he really brought out some